Hi guys, this is Dan. Welcome back to my channel. It's been a long time since I sit down and film a video because if you can't tell already, I was on holiday for over a week. I had such a great time in two northern cities in England, which are Liverpool and Manchester. I spent 3 days in Liverpool and 4 days in Manchester. First day when I arrived in Liverpool, when I stepped out of the Lime Street station, I was totally in shock because look at the St. George's Hall. We didn't do much on the first day because I was on the train journey for almost like 4-5 hours. I need to change in London and then get to the tube and then to Euston and then get like a long train to Liverpool. So on that day, we just had a little walk along the waterfront, which is called the Strand, I believe. Second day is kind of a special day because if you are into English football, you have to go to Anfield in Liverpool, which is the stadium for the Liverpool Football Club. To my surprise, that stadium is actually so close to where people live, so you can already imagine how busy it's gonna be when it's on the match day. I guess if you were like a massive Anfield fan, Liverpool fan, you would definitely live in there to feel the vibe to support your local club. Otherwise, you would never want to go there. And there was a memorial for the Hillsborough disaster. I wouldn't go into the details of it because it is quite sad and tragic. It took really long for the authority to figure out to clarify the facts, but it was quite deep. All in all, for this Anfield experience, by the way, I didn't pay the ticket to go into the stadium. We just had like a little walk around the stadium. I would say that you would definitely understand what does it mean by you will never walk alone. Then I didn't know that the Goodison Park, which is the stadium for another football club called the Everton, is so close to Anfield, you can literally see both of them at the same time. This one is also so close to the neighborhood, it is like a little rectangle to put in like a residential area. Even though they are so close to each other in terms of the proximity and they both play for the competitive Premier League, I think their relationship is always friendly. In town, you can easily find people wearing the blue Everton shirt or the red Liverpool one, freely and proudly. After visiting these two football stadiums, later in the day we went to visit the Chinatown in Liverpool, which is also the oldest in Europe. It is quite a surprise for me because I didn't expect you will find the oldest Chinatown in Liverpool and you would kind of expect it would be in London instead. I'm not sure was it because of the terrible weather, it was raining all day, or because we went in like a wrong timing. It was so quiet and with such a rich history, you would kind of expect it to be more vibrant, but it was silent. In the evening, we went to a steakhouse called the Cowshed, and oh my god, the value and like the quality of the meat is just like perfect. I nearly want to say how well done the steak is, but it should be pink, and it was pink. If you're living there or if you visit Liverpool and you are like me, massive fan of steak, go visit there. The value is perfect. The weather of the next day was so much better than the first two, so after we checked out, we had a little walk again in town, then we traveled to Manchester Piccadilly. The feel is already so different from Liverpool. It was like so busy. So many people were leaving work, and I think that was around like 4-5ish. It was so busy, people are leaving work and went home. Then we walked to the gay village and see the statue of Alan Turing. Again, the history is like tragic. The one that helped contribute a lot during the war to help you win it, then later being accused because of his sexuality and with like a mysterious death. Don't let history repeat itself. The next 2 days in the morning, we also did a stadium tour for Man City and Man United. You can walk to the Man City one from town, but it is quite far. I think it will take you roughly 45 minutes from like Manchester Piccadilly to walk to there. And you need to choose like a better route because if the weather was nice, I would highly recommend you to walk along the canal because there is a path in the city center and you can just like walk along the canal and get to the stadium. The view is nice and what can you complain about a good canal view? Old Trafford, the Man United Stadium, you can still walk to there, but it will take you over an hour and I don't suggest you to do it. go for a tram instead, and then you can walk to I think it's called the Media City, to look at the BBC studio and the ITV studio. One evening we went to a Chinese restaurant, and I mean that dim sum and stir fry were perfect. I mean perfect, much better than your normal takeaway. The wok chai for the stir fry noodle, I mean I have never tasted it in the UK since I come here. I mean, it is ridiculous. It is like a nearly charred flavor, but everything is cooked to perfection. The dim sum reminds me of home, which I think is a good sign. Of course, as a content creator based around books, I have to visit the Waterstones. Honestly, I think those two I have visited are much better than the one I've got in my town. They got much longer shelves, so they got more books, and some of them I have never seen before. Now on the screens, I'll try to pop up some light fantasy books that I may read later. Overall, I did enjoy Liverpool more than Manchester. Sorry if you're from Manchester. To me, I think Manchester feels a bit too new for me. There are so many new developments in town. It is giving kind of like a mini London vibe, if you know what I mean. I think everyone go into the city mainly looking for job opportunities rather than like me as a tourist. The city center is always so busy. There are so many people around you. I guess part of the reason is because the pedestrian has to share the road with the tram, and I mean, like the tram has occupied like the center lane of the road, and the pedestrian are like trying to like this. It was so busy, guys. And Liverpool to me is still busy, but not as busy. And there are always a little bit more to see in town. Let's say the sign on like those old buildings. What are those buildings for in the past? Even though Liverpool, when I went there, it was before the school opened again. It was busy, but you don't feel like you're crammed in one place. In the future, if I have time, I would definitely go to Liverpool again, maybe for 4 or 5 days. There are still more to discover along that side of seafront, and I think there are some like brilliant seaside towns over there. So I would like to spend maybe 1 or 2 days exploring those sites. I think honestly that's enough talk for my holiday, my little trip, because we are on booktube. So we have to talk about books. I'm not gonna lie to you, it is already September and I still got books to read from August. This deja vu, I still remember in the beginning of August, I have to finish Of War and Ruin, which is on my July's TBR. Same mistake again. So before I left for my holiday, I started The Night Ends with Fire by K.X. Sung. It is like an Asian-inspired fantasy that is based on two well-known Chinese classics, Mulan and the Romance of Three Kingdoms. Our main character, Mei Lin, didn't agree with the arranged marriage, so she decided to join the army. Along with her was a jade left by her non-dead mother. What she didn't expect is that she would be involved in the politics. The leader of this army was a prince called Sky. The magical jade left by her mother seems to be connected to a spirit, a sea dragon, as well as meeting another guy who can also talk to a spirit. All in all, I kind of enjoyed this one, and I think I got less than or maybe around 100 pages left, so not long for me to finish. Then on my holiday, I started The Alloy of War by Brandon Sanderson, the first book of the Mistborn era too. This book takes place right way after the first trilogy, and we are following a pair of good friends called Wax and Wing, and they are both allomancers. For some reasons, Wax decided to retire from his old peacekeeping work and focus on his family business. But then a danger came. A series of robberies seems to have a bigger scheme behind. Wax couldn't sit and wait anymore, so he picked up his old work again. I am halfway through this one and I want to finish this ASAP. I want to return this one to my library and pick up a book for my September's TBR. Without further ado, let's dive into reading again. See you in a bit! So as you can see, I have just been to my local library to return my copy of The Alloy of Law, meaning that I have already finished it. I am honestly not too sure how do I feel about this book. Maybe it is because it is a Brandon Sanderson book, so your expectation is always kind of higher. But I just think this book may not be his best work. So this one, The Ella of Law, we're gonna follow a pair of good friends, aka a pair of detectives, Wayne and Wax. They're gonna investigate a series of robberies. We're gonna collect clues along with them and find out who is responsible. But I just find this case not too exciting. Maybe the scope of this case is not that big. By the second half, we will already know who is responsible for the murder. We just need to figure out the details of it. This book is not long already, but I just find the pacing is a bit on the slower side. Every chapter, we're gonna take some time to get to the point. Let's say what sort of information we are chasing in this chapter. What have we learned so far, the action or even the character development? I just feel the story could be a bit more upbeat. Then coming to the ending, am I surprised by that twist? Not quite. In this story, we didn't follow a huge cast of characters, so by the process of elimination, we will probably guess what that twist is gonna be, so I was not totally blown away by it. Also, for Marasi, the third POV in this book, who is also part of the detective team, there is always a question about how she gonna use her power. So when that moment come, I was like, I am ready for it, show me what you got. But again, it is not like totally blown away. But I would still say the whole process of investigation is really engaging and immersive. I do like Wayne this character. I love his sense of humor and his acting is always fun. I love the two chapters when he's like playing a character. Before playing that character, he has to do some like research about how I should act, and those chapters are really fun and really entertaining. He can also energize the interaction between him and Wax. Wax is a slightly older character, a character that has gone through quite a lot from the past. Overall, I am just not the biggest fan of this book yet, but I have heard that The Lost Metal, which is the last book of this series, this Mistborn Era 2, has more to do with the Cosmere as a whole. Because of this, I will definitely keep on reading this series and hopefully I can finish it before the release of the Stormlight Archive 5 in December. Fingers crossed. I need to get to the library to return the Ella of Law, so I think why not get some more from there. First of all, I have the most important one, and it is The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu, the first book of the Dendanian dynasty. I have heard a lot of amazing reviews about this series, so I think I will start this one by mid-September, and I think some of you are also interested in this series, so I will definitely do a reading vlog about this one. And the other one is not an urgent one, even though it is from my library. And it is A Memory Called Empire by August Martin. Again, another very well-known sci-fi released not too long ago. I really want to try out some more sci-fi because I really want to get to this genre, and I have tried quite a lot this year. And they are all a bit like not quite hitting the mark, if you know what I mean. So that's why I picked this one up and see whether it would change my mind about sci-fi. Now I just need to finish my last book on my August TBR, and it is The Night Ends with Fire. So see you later. So I have just finished The Night Ends with Fire by KX Song, and I have mixed feeling about this one. This is an Asian-inspired fantasy in which we follow our main character, Mei-Lin, who doesn't want to accept this arranged marriage under the pressure of her opium-addicted father. So she dressed up like a man and joined the army to leave this home. She also brought along a jade left by her long-dead mother, which could allow her to talk to a spirit, a sea dragon. On this journey with the army, Mei-Lin would meet different characters. First of all, she will meet a prince called Sky who leads this army, another mysterious character who can also talk to a spirit, and then another prince from other kingdom who tried to manipulate her. So Mei-Lin has to hide her identity as a woman and figure out who to trust and who to fight along with. I do like the pacing of the story. It is very upbeat. We're gonna follow Maiden, how she gonna connect to the sea dragon and how it gonna relate to her mother, and to figure out what her enemy is plotting. I also enjoy the chemistry between the Prince Sky and Maiden. Maiden, of course, has to hide her identity as a woman in this male-dominated army. So she sometimes has to make some weird decision which makes Sky feel the exactly opposite way. This little drama is quite lovely and fun. If you have read this book, you will find like a little message left by the author to her grandfather on the very first page, and unfortunately it is in Chinese. If I need to translate it, it is about how the author and her grandfather both enjoy a very classic Chinese novel, The Romance of Three Kingdoms. So in the story, you will find a couple of nods to the original story. Let's say in this book there are also three kingdoms, and some of the characters from this story also named after those in the classics. I do also find the growth of Maiden in this book quite exceptional, from just a girl who wanna escape her fate to try to prove her worth in a male-dominant army, and then try to dream big to think about why can't I become someone important, let's say a warlord. Maiden literally has grown a lot since she left home, but my biggest problem with this one is the lack of originality. This book borrows so many tropes from other successful Asian-inspired fantasy. Let's say a girl who was forced to marry someone else and wanna leave her opium-addicted father. Sounds familiar? It is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. In this book, Maiden can talk to mythical creatures in a spiritual realm, which I do think share the same kind of magic system as the Poppy War again. Jade in this world is the source of magical power, which I think is kind of similar to the Green Bone Saga by Fonda Lee. A girl disguised as a man to join the army. It is Moonham, right? A girl from a very poor background and try to dream big to become a ruler. This concept is kind of like The Radiant King by Shelley Parker Chan. I don't read a lot already and I can already name a few, and I don't think it is great. I am not saying any author cannot recycle any other successful tropes, but I just find this one borrow quite a lot from others. Another problem I have is the language use. It is an Asian-inspired fantasy, so you would expect the use of other language. In this case, it is Chinese. But when I read it, there were some confusing moments. For example, our main character is called Maiden, and her best friend is called Xiu Ying. But then other characters, let's say the prince is called Sky. One of her friends in the army is called Sparrow. Other than the characters, there will be some Chinese nouns to describe certain objects. But I just find this part lack a bit of consistency. If you want to name all the characters in English, go for it. If they are in Chinese, then I would expect all of the characters would be in Chinese as well. Doing both at the same time kind of confused me, and I think not all the readers would be familiar with Chinese, so when you use Chinese nouns to describe certain things, people will be confused too. Overall, I do find this one entertaining, but with the language and the originality issue, I am a bit conflicted. I will probably give this like a 3-star, and surprisingly, I will keep an eye on the sequel. With that ending, you can't not do this, right? So here comes to the end of this reading vlog. If you enjoyed this kind of travel with some kind of reading, please give it a thumbs up. If you don't want to miss any content from me, make sure you have subscribed to my channel. I will see you all real soon. Goodbye!